The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but there is help to move your business forward. The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses. The VISBDC is the territory's #1 resource for small businesses and is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration. The VISBDC is nationally accredited and provides one-on-one advising, business education training, and technical assistance at no cost. Attend workshops by experts from both the public and private sectors. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the VISBDC are ready to assist you. So don't wait. Call, email, or visit them on the web at www.visbdc.org and Facebook, or simply download their mobile app on the Apple or Google Play Store. Just search VISBDC. Discover how they can help your business grow and succeed.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the VISBDC's hosting of the USVI Financial Preparedness webinar series. The goal of this series is to financially prepare small business owners to more than just stay afloat and maximize profits through effective financial planning. Today's session is entitled Budgeting Essentials. Let me take a brief moment to recognize our presenter for today, Ms. Maxine Fredericks. Ms. Maxine Fredericks is an exceptional individual with a wealth of experience and expertise, making her one of the most valuable assets in the realm of emergency management and disaster recovery. With a distinguished career as a retired FEMA employee, she has left an indelible mark on the field. At FEMA, Maxine spearheaded critical projects such as the Hurricane Marilyn Virgin Islands Roofing Program, a resounding success achieved through the seamless collaboration with the entire USVI team. Her proficiency as a subject matter expert in grants management programs is unparalleled, having administered, instructed, managed, and mentored these programs across various states. Notably, she demonstrated remarkable negotiation skills, effectively navigating through multiple agencies to facilitate FEMA's administration of the Real ID program. In retirement, Maxine continues to contribute significantly to the community, serving as a program manager for the United States Army Corps of Engineers Annuitant program. Her passion for teaching and sharing knowledge led her to become an esteemed instructor at the Emergency Management Institute. There, she imparts her insights on the disaster recovery planning to federal, state, and local jurisdictions, public and private organizations, and business owners. Beyond her remarkable achievements in the field of emergency management, Maxine is a multifaceted individual with diverse talents and interests. She is an accomplished author, captivating public speaker, and even a professional bodybuilder and trainer coach. Her dedication to personal growth and physical well-being serves as an inspiring example to all. A 48-year resident of the Virgin Islands, Maxine is both a licensed insurance agent and a FERNA licensed financial advisor. Leveraging her expertise, she generously offers complimentary, no-obligation financial preparedness courses for individuals, families, businesses, and organizations of various kinds, including HUD, first-time home buyers. Her partnership with the VISBDC is a testament to her commitment to uplifting the community that has been an integral part of her life. Maxine sees her work with the VISBDC as a privilege, an opportunity to give back to the people who have supported her throughout her journey to success. As a former client of the VISBDC, she was awarded Innovator of the Year for Creative Business Ventures. Her passion for community service and her profound impact on disaster management and financial preparedness makes her an invaluable asset to the VISBDC community. This August, Maxine will impart her knowledge through trainings, and there is no doubt that it will be a lasting positive influence on all who participate. Just a friendly reminder to put your questions in the chat, and they'll be addressed by the presenter during the presentation or either later during the question and answer segment. A copy of this presentation is available upon email request to info@visbdc.org, And after this presentation, we encourage you to take a few minutes to fill out the survey that lets us know how we're doing. So without further ado, Ms. Fredericks, the floor is yours.
If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Virgin Islands Small Business Development Council, for allowing me to share financial preparedness with the community. And I want to welcome you and thank you for joining today's budgeting conversation. Last week's conversation, how money works and how to get your money to work for you, that was just the beginning. So that leads us to this very practical and vital skill, budgeting. Budgeting is the blueprint of our financial lives. It is a deliberate plan that will help us to allocate our resources wisely. So there's a common misunderstanding that the average ordinary person like you, like me, that we can't become financially independent. That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you have the power, I have the power, we all have the power to be financially independent. 6 years ago, I faced over $500,000 in business credit card and income tax debt due to an unexpected audit. This financial challenge was devastating, especially because I had done everything right to start a successful business after retiring from my federal career. I researched, I took classes, and I sought professional guidance, but I was not prepared for this unexpected obstacle. However, I am living proof that financial independence is attainable, even when you're faced with adversity. Before Hurricane Melton in Maryland in 1995, I owned several profitable businesses. And although I had to go back to work, I never gave up on my dream of business ownership. I overcame my financial difficulties, and now I'm back in business, even more prepared because I have a solid financial education. During the time of my desperation trying to figure out how I was going to pay off the credit card debt and the taxes, I wrote in my prayer journal that I wanted to learn everything that there was to know about money, from the simplest concept to the most complex financial strategy. I was doing everything. 10 days later, I was at a networking event and I was just grabbing, looking for answers. I was going everywhere looking for answers. But little did I know that the answer to my prayer was going to be sitting right next to me at that event that day. After I introduced myself to the group, the gentleman next to me, he introduced himself as a financial advisor. And he said, I give complimentary, no obligation financial advice to anyone who's interested. And he also said that he had retired himself from corporate America at the age of 36 to pursue a business in financial services. And it was at that moment I looked down at my journal and the page where I had written down my prayer was staring at me. Yes, I wanted that information. So I contacted the gentleman the next day, and that was the start of my financial education. True to his word, the knowledge that he offered was complimentary, but the obligation really was on my part. I was willing to do whatever it would take to become financially independent, and I did because I was desperate. I felt like I was about to lose everything that I had worked so hard for. Today, not only have I paid off all of the business credit card debt and the state taxes, I still owe the federal IRS $11,000, but I'm on a very manageable payment plan, and my financial budget is set to pay that amount off in less than 2 years or earlier. Not only am I back in business, I joined my financial advisor's financial services business. I and my daughter were licensed life insurance agents, and we have securities and exchange licenses. We have a 6, 63, and 26. I also have other business ventures, all on my own and with my family. I'm sharing this information because I've learned it, and I really want to know, to share information that I've learned, because this has transformed my life. It really has. And I'm passionate about giving back what has been given to me. Next slide, please. My name is Maxine Fredericks. My daughter and I, Melissa, we offer complimentary financial education to anyone who's interested. So you can text us at 770-733-9654 or 770-688-7812, and we'll get back to you. So the very first slide was about budgeting 101. So today's agenda, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about all of the elements, all the components that you need to get your budget set up. We're going to talk about taking control. What does it mean to take control? We're going to talk a little bit about goal setting. We're going to talk about something that's really important called paying yourself, your financial independence number. I'll share with you the 3 accounts that you should have in your budget. We'll talk about debt. Then we'll go back to compound interest, the rule of 72, which we went into depth with last week because it's so important. Debt stacking, and why should you have a budget? Next slide, Melissa. Listen, you already have the power to become financially free, but are you willing to do what it takes to be free? Being financially prepared. If you're financially prepared, it will help you to meet your current needs, and it will help you to meet your future goals. The budget is one of the main activities that you need to become financially independent. Now, we've all heard stories about ordinary people who've worked at ordinary jobs. They could be secretaries, janitors, servers, and they pass away, leaving millions of dollars behind that no one suspected that they had. How do they do it? Listen, they're no different from you. They're no different from me. They're no different from anybody else. Because it doesn't take a high-level job with a big salary to be financially independent. It doesn't take you having a large inheritance. It doesn't take you winning the lottery. It doesn't matter what your income level is. You can achieve financial security if you take the time to learn just a few simple practices, and you practice them, and you practice them, and you practice them. You can attain financial freedom. Budgeting is one of the practices that will help you get out of debt. It will help you to build your savings. It will get you on the road to financial independence. But it's up to you. You have the power to change your life forever. So let's get started. One of the biggest financial mistakes that other people make is dependence. We give our power away and let other people decide how we should spend our money. We give our power away in a number of ways. If you have a joint bank account with someone and both of you are not on the same page in that bank account, say for instance, one person is a little reckless and spends money without having your consent or having discussed it, that's giving your power away. You're depending and you're allowing someone else to take control of something that you have a shared joint venture with, and what is that purpose of that account. Now, this is a big one. When we loan money from our friends, from our parents, when you borrow money from loved ones, there's that saying, be a lender and not a borrower. And that's the position that we want to put ourselves in. So when you loan money from your friends, you loan money from your family, They feel that they have a say in how you should spend your money or how you should save your money or even how you should live your life. And you're under that gun until you pay them back. Another dependence is relying on your parents for expenses. And I know in this day and age, there are a lot of younger people who still depend on their parents. Their parents either pay their telephone bill, or they pay their car insurance, or they pay their house notes. Parents are even purchasing homes for children. But when that happens, you're depending on your parents, and they feel like they have a say and they're entitled to make decisions for you. I watched a video, and this couple had purchased a home for their daughter. And the daughter had a boyfriend who lived with her, who wasn't working, and it infuriated the parents. The dad went over and put the guy out of the house. The daughter was devastated, but what could she do? He felt that he was entitled to make decisions for her based on what he thought was right for her. Now, when you don't understand your financial products that you have, then that's another dependence. If you let somebody else choose your financial products, say for instance, your insurance, or say for instance, you're going to do some kind of investment, and you don't understand these things yourself, you could end up with something that may not be a good fit for you. Now, this happens so much in relationships. This is dependence, letting a partner control all your finances. If one person handles all the money and that person doesn't share information, or that person doesn't consult with you on decisions, you might find yourself without any financial knowledge about what's going on in the account. So I have a friend whose husband recently passed. He was in charge of the finances. She never wanted to talk about finances. When he passed away, he had a great insurance. He had a great retirement, which went to her. However, she didn't have a financial education. She kept saying to me, I'm going to call you because I want to talk about what I want to do with this money. I want to do this with this money. I want to do that with the money. But remember, when I talked about my financial advisor, when he introduced himself, he said, anyone who's interested. And that holds true for me. This is only about anyone who's actually interested. So eventually what happened to her is that she got into some kind of financial deal with someone, and she ended up almost losing her house. As a matter of fact, the house was sold, and the person who sold the house just felt so bad for her. She had to scrape and scrim and borrow money from everybody so that she could get her house back. So now she has the house back, but I have no idea what the financial situation is. So another thing we call dependence is when you don't look at your financial statements. I was guilty. I used to get credit card statements in the mail, and I said to myself, oh, I know how much I'm going to pay. I really didn't want to see what was on those financial statements. I didn't really want to see all the stuff that I had purchased, the stuff that I really did not need. You must check your financial statements. You must check your bank. You should be checking your bank account on a regular basis, 3-4 times a week, because you might miss out on spotting fraud, errors, or you simply need to know, where is my money going? In a day, I put my receipts in one certain place, but there's some times when I forget. But you have to know where your money's going, because if you don't manage your money is going to manage you. Never allow someone else to negotiate you. That's dependence. If you let somebody else handle all your negotiation, say for instance, a car or house, they might be making decisions based on what they think is best and not necessarily what you prefer. And this is a biggie. entrusting all your investments to one advisor. That's the dependence. If you give your control of your money, your investments, to a single advisor without any oversight or understanding, they might make choices that benefit them more. And I'm an advisor, and I am telling you that. Remember the Bernie Madoff case. Bernie Madoff, for years and years, was managing billions of dollars of people for people. They had no idea what he was doing. But what he was doing, he was mating off, and he made off with all of their money. So it's okay to seek advice or to delegate certain financial tasks to people, but it's crucial that the information you understand and you are really involved, because it's your financial well-being. You want to make sure that your financial well-being aligns with your goals and your values. The secret to financial security is learning to control the things that you can control. And thank you, Melissa, for the slide. So what can you control? And we're going to talk mostly about what you can control. So what you can't control is you can't control taxes. You can't control when you're going to lose your job. Neither can you control inflation. But in our next slide, we're going to talk about the things that you can control. Next slide, please. What you can control, this is critical. You can control paying yourself first. It's putting yourself in front and your family before any other demands on your money. Paying yourself first is the first form of self-respect. If you don't respect your money, nobody else is going to respect your money. You have to start with the end in mind. You have to make a decision that every time you get paid, you're going to set aside a certain amount of money into some kind of investment program. No matter whatever financial obligations that you have to pay yourself first. You would be amazed how your money can grow if you invest even a small amount of money regularly and you do it with a good rate of return. So do you know what your financial independence number is? Have you ever heard of a financial independence number? So I want to stop right now to see if anyone has anything to offer. Do I need to answer anything that anybody has thought about? Is there anything in the chat, Sharika?
As well, you can proceed.
Okay, so your financial independence money is the amount of money that you have saved that you're going to need when you decide that you no longer want to work, you want to retire. That financial independence number, it factors in a couple of things. It factors in what are going to be your expenses when you retire? What's going to be the income that you're going to have coming in? What's the inflation rate going to look like? You need to factor things like that in. And then how much money do you think that you're going to need to withdraw when you retire from your savings? So it's important to calculate your financial independence number so that you can determine what you're going to need and how you're going to be able to reach the number that you need before you decide that you're not going to work any longer or at retirement. You can control your priorities. As you begin your financial journey to independence, remember this one key point. It is not what you make, it is what you keep. And this is the biggie, changing your thinking. You can control your thinking. No one else can do that but you. The way you think about money is everything. Your mindset is powerful, especially when it comes to money. That's why so many people, when they win the lottery, they end up losing everything. And then there are those people who come to their senses and realize, hey, I need to be a lot more diligent. They become millionaires by practicing the simple steps of saving, investing, and budgeting. Now, what's the difference between these two groups? It's how they think. If you don't think that you deserve financial security, you will never be financially secure. So I'm going to share with you two examples. I'm going to share with you an example of someone who won the lottery, lost the money, lost it all. And I'm going to share with you an example of someone who started making money, thought they were rich, and pulled back and said, no, this is not the way to go. So there's this woman, her name was Sharon Tirabassi. Sharon, she grew up poor. She lived in shelters a lot of her life. She was a single mother. She had 3 kids. She was on welfare. She was just a personal care provider. And in 2004, Sharon won $10 million. However, as usually the case with big lottery winners, Sharon went broke. She poured her money into luxury cars, expensive houses. She went on holidays with family and friends, and people kept asking her for money, and she was just giving away money. You know how it is. When people learn that you have money, then everybody comes out of the woodwork. Can you help me? Can you do this? And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to have a money mindset. And you don't get that overnight. That's something that you have to acquire. And it's something that you need someone to guide you with. So she blew the whole fortune. She lost the house that she had just bought with her new husband. They were broke. She and her husband both had to go back to work full time. And now they're raising 6 children and they're just living like she was before. Then I call him Mike. I call him slow and steady Mike, because Mike says slow and steady wins the game. Mike lived in San Francisco, the San Francisco Bay. And he became he's told you, he became wealthy the old fashioned way. He never made more than $25,000 a year until he was like 28 years old. He got out of college, went to college late, got out of college. His first job, making $40,000. And slow and steady Mike said he felt like he was rich. So the first year, he got into a whole lot of credit card debt. He had student loans. He went out and bought a car. And he came to his senses about a year afterwards. He paid off his student loans. He paid off the car that he had. He paid off the credit card. And at 31, Mike was able to buy his first home. But what Mike did is he spent less money than he made. He saved money by purchasing used cars instead of buying new cars. He lived in a less expensive house in a less expensive neighborhood than the bank said that he qualified for. He bought things that were on sale. He bought used things. Mike has been tithing 10% of his income to his church for the last 25 years. He set his mindset that he was going to live on 90% of his income. And this helped him to be disciplined in other financial responsibilities. So he took advantage of the financial opportunities at work outside of his base income. So his company had a 401 matching program, which he contributes to. And as much as they match, that's the amount that he actually matches as well. That's free money. So if you are employed and your employee has a matching program, you take advantage of that. That's free money. He also used the company's stock because the company provided people who work there, they could buy stock at 15% below the actual stock price. And even though he said his budget was tight, it allowed him to buy company stock. And what he would do, he would buy the stock, and whenever he had a big expense to pay, he would sell some of the stock, but he would continue to purchase the stock. So he admits that living in the San Francisco Bay Area is very expensive, but so is it very expensive and costly to live in the Virgin Islands. But it's not impossible to save. So here's some great learning from both of these two examples. One, Time is a valuable asset in becoming wealthy. The earlier you start, the better off you will be, and the more money you can chalk away. If you do the basics day in and day out, and you do them for a long time, your wealth is going to take care of itself. So no matter how much you earn, you need to spend less than that. I know it's kind of old school, but it has stood the test of time. Ask some of your elders, ask some of your grandparents, great grandparents. You can become financially independent even if you live in a high cost area. You will simply need to save in other areas. These are areas that are unrelated to your basic living expense. So our next slide is about your self-image. It's about upgrading yourself. We all deserve freedom, and we all deserve peace of mind. And that's what financial security provides us. You'll have a better chance of doing what needs to be done to start building wealth. If you want to achieve financial independence, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to make some sacrifices for a period of time. You're going to have to go without some of the things that you actually want, but it's really not that tough. And in the end, it will be worth it. But it's very, very important for your financial health. So we want to consider some ways that you can increase your income if you feel like you don't really have a lot of money to put aside. You can earn additional income. If your family income is very modest, if things are really tight and it's tough to invest $25 to $50 a month, you might consider some things like taking a part-time job. Use your talent to earn income, extra income. There's so many talented people here. I know, I taught school here. I know the mindset. Sell some things. You know, you got some things that are very valuable that are sitting around. Sell some things to get you want to get some extra income coming in if you're not able to, at this time, to be able to put money aside to save. Adjust your lifestyle. Along with setting priorities comes one tough rule of life, and that is you can't have everything. You have to make some conscious decisions about the purchases that you make. It's an important concept to understand. Want versus needs. A need is something you have to have, something you can't do without. Food, shelter. A want is something you would like to have. Ice cream, a bigger house. Think about realigning the assets that you have. And this is another way to take control and to be able to free up some income for savings. There are two major areas where you may not be getting your money's worth. You may not be getting your money's worth in the savings account that you currently have at your financial institution. You can take money from a lower interest savings and then invest it in an area that's going to give you higher returns. And the second thing you can do, if you happen to have high cost cash life insurance, you can replace that expensive cash value life insurance by buying term insurance, and you can potentially save thousands of dollars in premium over time. And you can take that money and put it into investing in you. Both of these areas are covered in more detail in our next two sessions. Avoiding the credit trap. Credit cards are a good thing for convenience, but that's it. You have to be careful to avoid the pitfalls of plastic money. I just gave you some examples of what happened to me. You have to pay your balance in full every month if you don't want to end up having your credit card bills escalate out of control. The only way that you can keep the monthly charges, your monthly charges or your monthly expenses under control is to pay with cash. You'll find that you're going to spend a lot less money if you pay with cash. It's like, ouch. You give somebody a $20 bill, something costs $15.99 or $15.75, even $15.01. All you're getting back is $40 out of a 20. It hurts. You pay more attention when you pull that money out of your pocket than when you swipe. It's easy to swipe. You have a choice. You do have a choice about your financial future. The next slide, please. We're going to talk now about setting goals.
Ms.
And
President,
yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
sorry to interrupt. We have a question. What is a good way
Okay.
to save and to make payments towards your bills if you are in a debt? What is a good
Okay.
balance?
Say that again now.
What is a good way to save and to make payments towards your bills if you are in a debt? What is a good balance?
A good balance is having a budget that will allow you to do both of this. And this is what a budget does. You know, if you're interested in how to set up a budget, the elements of a budget, that's when you contact us and we will sit with you and help you to craft a budget for you. So we have to look at everything that is going on with you before we can actually give you any kind of information. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
And
So
if I, hi Maxine, this is Melissa.
yes,
And just to like a little thing, she's actually going to go over in the later part of the presentation a concept called debt stacking. And that
yes,
is going to help to get your mind around, okay, so what's the best way to eliminate debt in an effective manner?
yes. And I was going to get to that when we got there. Okay. So listen, you have to set goals. You have to have a plan. You cannot reach a destination if you don't know what your destination is. So what setting goals does, it does two things. First of all, it gives you the incentive to make the necessary sacrifices that you got to make. And it's a benchmark. It's a benchmark along the way to help you to gauge your progress. So after you set your goals, you need a roadmap. You got to have a roadmap to get that. That's what your budget is. You need a financial game plan. So you take your goals, you get your game plan, those two things together, which is your budget. That's the cement that holds together your financial foundation. So now we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to do on our next slide, Melissa. At the end of the month, most people don't have anything left to save. That's a problem. Here's the solution. When you get paid, before you pay anyone else, you need to commit to setting aside 10% of your income to pay yourself first. That is the single most important concept that you should learn. And I'm going to tell you right out the bat, it's going to be tough. And you got to practice this. It may take you 4 or 5 months before you get there, but that's the goal that you want to keep in mind. That's where you're going. So now next slide. It's not about what you earn, it's about what you keep. You want to put yourself ahead of the line. You want to treat your savings like any other recurring bill that you pay each month. Many people, and I've done it, they don't think anything about sending big amounts of money to credit card companies on a regular basis. I can remember saying, oh, I'm going to double up, but I was doubling up so that I could have some space so that I could go back and use that card again. But no, when you pay off this debt, you don't want to go back there. But people balk about the idea of paying themselves first. You got to change that mindset. You got to get rid of your credit card debt. You got to put those payments into your own savings. You got to make a commitment to pay yourself first. So how much money have you saved since you've been in the workforce? We're going to do a quick calculation right now to see how much money you have saved since you've been working. So just jot down quickly an estimate. What's your average annual income? Now, I want you to multiply that by the number of years you've worked. And what that's going to tell you is the total amount of money that you've earned since you've been working. It may not be totally accurate, but it's an estimate. Now, my next question is, how much money do you have in savings? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to divide the amount of money that you have earned into how much money you have in savings. And this is going to equal the percentage of the income that you have saved out of all the years that you've worked. And I don't know what that number looks like for you, but if it doesn't look good, this is when you want to think about, hey, what am I really doing? What am I doing with the money that I go out and I work so hard for every day? Next slide, please. So to have a complete savings program, and this is a part of the question that was asked, you need to have everybody, most people, I will say, need to have 3 types of accounts. And these are the accounts that you would have in your budget. 1, you want to have an emergency account. Now, the emergency account is for just that, emergencies, because you never know when something is going to happen. And the emergency account should have 3 to 6 months of income so that if anything should happen to you, you can be able to pay all of your bills for 3 or 6 months out of what you save. You know, Murphy's Law is when you don't have any money, everything happens. Everything is an emergency. Everything breaks down. But when you have money, none of those things usually happen. They're far and in between. So you want to be prepared. I wasn't prepared for the credit card. I wasn't prepared for the audit. I didn't have a financial education. The second account that you need is called a short-term account. So these are saving for the things that you want. You want a new car, you want a home. That's what that second account is for. Now, we're putting money into all 3 of these accounts simultaneously. And your last account is called your wealth building account. This is long-term. This is the money that you're putting away long-term when you don't want to work anymore, when you don't feel like you want to work, when you want to retire, when you want to leave. This is the legacy that you want to leave for whomever you might want to leave. So let's talk about debt. That's the next slide. Of all the threats to your financial security, none of them is more dangerous than debt. Debt is the most common enemy. It is the biggest threat to your financial well-being. Now I want to slip into talking a little bit more, going back over compound interest. That's on our next slide, and the rule of 72. Compound interest, the rule of 72, this is the most powerful financial force in existence. It is said that Albert Einstein said that compound interest, the rule of 72, is the 8th wonder of the world. Last week, we did a quick exercise to show you how powerful compound interest, the rule of 72, is in saving money, and how devastating compound interest is when you're in debt. So always remember that the higher your interest rate, the faster your savings are going to grow. And if you forgot the formula, I'm going to go back over it with you now, and for those who may not have been in attendance. So very simple, the number 72. Always remember the number 72 when you want to know how fast your money grows or how fast your debt grows. You take the number 72, and that number you divide by your interest rate that you're getting. This is for savings. And it's going to tell you approximately how long it will take for your money to double. You use that same formula to determine how fast your debt's going to grow. Next slide, please. Now, debt. All debt is not bad debt. There are 2 types of debt. You've got revolving debt and you've got fixed debt. Your credit card debt is revolving debt. The interest compounds daily instead of monthly. And because there's no fixed amount that you pay each month, that debt can go on forever. And your interest rate can change at any time. You know those envelopes you get with the little white folder in there? I don't know how many of you ever read it. It took me about 2 months to read it because I would read it and I would get very bored and I put it down, but I was determined to read it and see what it says. Whatever that institution has decided they're going to do in terms of interest, or whatever rules, regulations, or policies that they have come up with, is in that little piece of white paper that you get in the envelope. And it's usually just that or a letter and just that piece of paper. Take your time and read it. You are entrusting your hard-earned money into a financial institution of some kind, but you don't know what is happening with your money once you've given them that money. Their interest is not you. If their interest was with you, they would be having conversations with you to make sure that you were financially stable. There's nothing you can really do once an institution determines they're going to change the interest rate or whatever changes that they're going to make. The only thing that you can do to defend yourself is to pay off the entire balance and pay it off at once, or take your time and pay it off. And I'm going to talk about how you can do that very soon. So let's look again at how revolving debt can affect you. You want to take your phone, enter the number 72. Let's divide that by the number 18, which is about the average credit card interest rate for someone who has decent credit. Make sure you understand and know what your interest rate is on your card. Now, if you have a $10,000 balance and you only made minimum payments on that balance, when you divide 18 into 72, you get the number 4. So in 4 years, possibly that $10,000 balance that you had is now $20,000. The other kind of debt is fixed debt, fixed interest. So with fixed interest payments, your payments remain the same throughout the term of the loan. So if you purchase a car, that's a fixed payment. If you purchase a home, that's a fixed payment. Sometimes when you purchase appliances or furniture, those usually are fixed payments. So in our next slide, I'm excited about it because it's called debt stacking. I call debt stacking the miracle tool. Why? Because I used it and it works. It worked for me. When I was living in Atlanta, I attended a church and they offered a course called Financial Peace. You may have heard of it, and you may have heard of someone called Dave Ramsey. Well, Dave Ramsey has a course called Financial Peace, and almost every church across the country offers financial peace. Actually, I know of a church in the Maryland, D.C. area where everybody in the church, every member is required to take the course. Every member of that church is required to be financially free. Every member of that church has their own home. And that was a requirement of the pastor and the executive staff of the church. So my church offered the course. The course is complimentary, and not only to members, they opened the course up to people on the outside. Of course, the church has an interest in making sure that its members are debt-free, because that means that you can now give more money in tithes, and you can be more supportive to the financial well-being of the church. So I took the class, but I was so interested in using the system, I wanted to know that I knew that system. So what I did is I began to facilitate that class, and I did that for more than 7 years. And during that time, I was able to pay off all of my personal credit card debt using a system called debt stacking. And I have never, ever owned a personal credit card since I started using the debt stack, since I actually paid off all my debt. That's been close to 20 years. I have a debit card. I actually have 2 debit cards, and that's it. But debt stacking becomes habit forming. So this is how it works. And there's a little picture of it on your screen. You have, say for instance, you have every month you pay out $200 in credit card debt. You have one credit card that you pay $100 on. You have another one you pay $50 on, and you have two that you pay $25 on. So one of them is a target account. Now that target account may be the one that has the highest interest rate, or it may be the one that you can pay off first because there's not a lot of debt left on that card. And it will give you a sense of, okay, I paid the card off. So this is how debt stacking works. Your target account, that's your first account. We're going to say that's the account that's $100. You pay that credit card completely off. Now you've got $100. You're going to take that $100 and you're going to put it on your second target account, which is $50 a month. And you're going to now be paying $150 a month on that card until you pay it off. And once that card is paid off, you take the $150 and you add it to the next debt, and that's $25. So now you're paying $175 on that debt. And you continue that process until you have completely paid off all of your debt and do not go back into credit card debt. So it works. It really, really works. We had a thing in this class. What we would do is we would have a card cutting once everybody had paid off their debt, or as you paid your debt off, you would cut the credit card up. And that was really fun. So we're running a little short on time. I want to go to slide 14. So why does it matter to have good credit? It matters to have good credit because it's not just for getting credit cards, it's not just for loans, but it can affect where you live. It can affect, do you know that your employers go out and check your credit? I had a friend who I worked with during my federal career, and she used to say, don't go messing around with this good federal job. But she fell on some hard times and getting through a divorce. The money was funny. It got all messed up. Do you know that she could not pass a security clearance? And so she lost that good federal job. So you got to know what your interest rate is. People make the mistake not knowing what the interest rate is. Know what your interest rate is. Know what kind of debt you have. Is it fixed or is it revolving? Now, why does it matter for you to have a financial budget? It matters because a budget will give you clarity. It will give you control. It gives you a clear picture of what your financial situation is. It matters because having a budget will help to promote healthy financial habits. Having a budget will help you achieve your financial goals. Having a budget will help you to prevent overspending. It will safeguard you from the financial emergencies that we talked about. It will improve your decision making, and it will reduce financial stress. There's nothing like being worried about money. It monitors and it helps you to reduce your debt. It facilitates, it gives you an opportunity to review, make adjustments. It's a static thing. It took me about 2 years to finally get my budget to where I want it to be, where on a monthly basis now it takes me about an hour and a half, not a monthly, I do it twice a month, about an hour and a half to go in and tweak my budget and know exactly where my money is. And it encourages you to be accountable and to be responsible. So my name is Maxine Fredericks. My daughter Melissa was the one that was having conversation earlier. Are there is there anything that I didn't cover that you might want to know? We want to do this quickly, but before we drop off, before we end, I want to let you know that the broker that we work with is called Primerica. Primerica is the largest independent financial services organization in North America. They're listed on the New York Stock Exchange, in business since 1977, with over 4 million lives insured. We're not doing any insurance currently in the Virgin Islands. However, we do have over 2 million investment accounts. We are doing investments in the Virgin Islands right now. And again, my name is Maxine Fredericks. Melissa Fredericks is my daughter. We're in business together. We're licensed insurance agencies. We have securities and exchange licenses, Series 66323. If you're interested, we offer complimentary, no obligations, financial educations, your roadmap to financial freedom. Our numbers here 770-733-9654 and 770-688-7812. For more information, if I did not cover some things, please feel free to call. And now I'm going to open it for anything that anybody wants to inject or you need some further clarification on. And I'll turn it back over to you, Sharika.
Okay, so we encourage persons to put their questions in the chat and then they'll be addressed. In the interim, can you advance to the next slide? Let me give our participants some information on the VI SBDC. So the SBDC has so much more in store for US VI small business owners. You can visit our website at www.visbdc.org. Download the VI SBDC app on your mobile device from the appropriate app store. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Business, and subscribe to the VI SBDC YouTube channel for new uploads of our on-demand webinars. I still don't see any questions in the chat, so I take it that everyone understood the information that was provided. So I'm just going to give a friendly reminder as we close to check your email and conduct the survey and participate in the survey that lets us know how we're doing. So I don't see any questions, Ms. Fredericks, so we should be good to go. So on behalf of the entire VI SBDC network, we would just like to wish everyone a productive day.
And thank you again for attending.